Hey there. This is a slightly different video, and I apologize for the POV. It's going to be a bit all over the place. Just for the intro here, I want to give you a perspective that I don't usually show of dirty rigs that enter the office. So you can see, yeah, it's dusty on top. There's some grime on the graphics card. It's pretty gross. The top of the basement there. The cooler, who knows, Hyper 212 Evo from Cooler Master, and this old S340, original S340 case from NZXT. The viewer who sent this in believes all we're going to be doing is deep cleaning it. However, my goal with this one will be to recycle the important components, the primary stuff, the graphics card, the platform, right, CPU, memory, motherboard, and replace other things that are still functional, but that also have an aesthetic effect as well, that being the case and the cooler. So we're going to be getting rid of this old NZXT S340 and this Cooler Master Hyper 212 and replacing them with much more modern components from Be Quiet that I think will just completely reset this system, make it look so much nicer, so much newer, and then on top of that, we'll give it a good cleaning as well, and the system should be back up and running again. So I'm excited for this one. I think you will enjoy seeing the transformation play out. Hopefully, by the end of this one, I'll have a pretty sweet build to give back to this viewer, and my goal is also to film the reaction of the owner live when I show him for the first time what his rig now looks like. So stick around for the ride. Like I said, I hope you'll enjoy. Stay with me.
AliExpress is hosting a back-to-school promotion between August 22nd and August 26th, when you can snag solid discounts on your favorite items by using various offer codes like BK2S6 for $6 off orders over 40, and so on. One of the coolest products I found is the Super Console emulator, which comes with dozens of old-school emulators baked in, including NES, PlayStation, Sega Genesis, and more. Add games you own and played as a kid via the included SD card, and this little guy handles the rest. It is plug and play. Connect via HDMI and enjoy some OG Crash Bandicoot, don't mind if I do, Doom, Pokemon, and more. This emulator even supports handheld devices like Game Boy, and you can manage everything with 2 included controllers. Find massive discounts up to 70% on AliExpress during their back-to-school sale. Learn more by clicking the link below.
So, like I said at the start, this rig is dirty. It's just not super dirty yet. It'll certainly become super dirty with time, and that's why it's important to routinely clean. Just blast with air, that should be good enough. At this point, this dust is already becoming pretty chalky, so air alone is not going to do the trick, and that's what you want to avoid, because manually scrubbing and washing in water and soap and things, it's a lot more time consuming, and so you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of cleaning every month or two versus heavily cleaning maybe once a year, and I prefer the former just because it's, yeah, in shorter spurts, doesn't feel like it's taking up as much time. You don't have to devote an entire day, let's say, to cleaning a rig. I also want to make very clear the fact that I knew what this system looked like ahead of time. No, I wasn't fooled into, thinking it was dirtier than it was. I knew right away what I wanted to do with this rig, and that's why I told the owner what I did about this just being a deep cleaning project, when in reality it's going to look pretty different by the time we're done with it. First thing I want to do is take this outside and blast all this with our electric duster. I'm going to try to scrub as much of the loose dust away as I can. Then we'll take the vital components out, disassemble those, fully deep clean them, and then we'll prep for the new hardware courtesy of Be Quiet, today's product sponsor. So let's take that field trip outside, shall we? Okay, I think we should take everything out. That would be easier. Start with this graphics card, which, yeah, it's pretty caked on the top side of the PCB, but inside doesn't look all that bad at all. I don't even think I'm going to disassemble this. It's just not worth it. It looks pretty clean already. By the way, this motherboard, Z97 SLI Crate Edition from MSI, this is throwing it back, my friends. When I started my channel, this was the relevant platform, so, yeah, nice throwback there. I guess still somewhat relevant depending on what you can get the platform for. All right, get on out of here. Nice and easy. Oh, a couple things at the bottom. Should have remembered. Okay, there we go. And don't want to forget the back plate. We'll be saying bye-bye to this cooler with the sweet upgrades, so we'll go ahead and remove this as well. Let's see. Ooh, Core i5, what's that, 46? Can't really read it. 4690K. Okay, cool. Nothing wrong with that. We'll clean this up, and then what I'm going to do is blast each of these components we've removed to reuse, essentially, with the electric duster, and then we'll bring it all inside and prep it for install into the new case. And here we are. It doesn't look like much, but this is, well, most of what you'll need to assemble a rig. We just need the case and the cooler at this point, and I've got just the solution courtesy of Be Quiet. This here is the Be Quiet Pure Base 500 FX. Yeah, I said FX, not DX, which I'm sure you've heard said many times on this channel. We are big fans of that case. It was kind of an evolution of the original Pure Base 500, which, if you remember, had a rather choked off front panel, so airflow was not the best. The DX opened things up, which was great, has really nice integrated RGB, and the FX takes things a step further by including light wings fans by default. In fact, you get 4 of them. One at the rear, and this is actually a 140, and you get 3 120s up front, all very silent under load while they're spinning. They also look really good because they have integrated LEDs. I won't spend too much time highlighting the features of the 500 FX because, again, it's more or less a carbon copy of the DX, which is already great, so I'm glad they didn't change anything there. Hardware support-wise, volume, dimensions, the aesthetics, it's all pretty much the same, but the FX adds those RGB supported fans, and you get 4 of them this time again instead of the default 3. So this whole build's gonna look really good with this nice RGB integration here, but there's still one more piece to the puzzle I want to introduce you to. And that would be this right here. This is Be Quiet's new Pure Loop 2 FX. This is a 280mm unit. You can get these in smaller sizes as well if you're interested. I think up to a 360 if I am not mistaken, but 280 is gonna give you similar surface area, but you're gonna have larger fans spinning, so they don't technically need to spin as fast to displace the same amount of air that smaller fans would. So there are ebbs and flows with the 280 versus 360mm debate. If your case supports a 360, typically that's what I go with just because it just looks a little better in my opinion. It's a bit bigger. Whereas if you mounted this up front, you might have a gap below or above. I think what I'm going to try to do in the case of the 500DX is mount this at the top, and then we'll have the tubes running down. That's ideal anyway for this kind of AIO because the pump is integrated into the tubes, and if we mount up top, that ensures that the pump is not the highest point in the loop, which should allow this to run for several years without issue. That said, Be Quiet does have stellar warranties on pretty much all of their products. You can see some of them listed here, so there's just added peace of mind when choosing a Be Quiet product over the competition. Really looking forward to how this is all going to look once it's set up. Speaking of which, let's jump into that right now. We'll start with the rear I/O shield just so we don't forget it later. I can get it in here without cutting myself. That would be fantastic. It's probably not going to happen. And we'll get some AIO mounting gear situated before the platform install. In she goes, nice and gently. There we are. Another really cool thing about these Pure Loop AIOs is that they have fill ports, so you can either top them off or swap the coolant out entirely. So it's pretty versatile. Not too many of these on the market have fill ports. Ooh, you know, running a test fit here of the AIO mounted up top, and well, the radiator fits fine, but I think we're going to be cut off when we install the fans because of the memory here. So we have a backup plan. How about a Pure Rock 2 FX? This retains the similar like blacked out aesthetic. You get the light wings fan as well, and overall just a solid air-cooled option if you're interested. The TDP is 150 watts, so this should handle anything up to even some of the most powerful Intel and AMD processors on the market. Well, unless you go like HEDT. Don't do that with this. And in a cool twist, the mounting gear is identical. Perks of staying within the Be Quiet ecosystem. I don't need to change any of that out. We've got the bracket going across the cold plate and just 2 more Phillips screws. Everything should be locked in place. And we can very easily tap into this RGB hub that we get with the 500 FX. Sweet. I'll reinstall the storage drive. And before, you should have upgraded his storage from a hard disk drive. That's ancient old school technology. He could super duper benefit from a solid state drive, yada yada yada. Look, the goal isn't to upgrade everything in the rig, otherwise I'd just like give him an entirely new system. Plus, this drive has all of his important files on it. This is his boot drive. So if I gave him another storage drive, he'd have to migrate everything over. That's not something I want to risk here, just in case there are important files and something goes wrong. So yeah, it's not the end of the world, okay? Although yes, that would be a pretty sweet upgrade too. Slide in the power supply. This one's a bit chonky for only being a 650 watt unit, but it's 80 plus gold. And I actually tested it with my PSU tester. Everything looks to be okay with it. So we'll get this situated. Got everything wired up, including the 24 pin. And now we can spend some time on cable management. We'll be right back.
A few moments later.
And there we are, not too shabby, didn't have to spend too much time on it, and there's plenty of cable management space behind this motherboard tray, so I'm not worried at all about the right side panel. In fact, we can go ahead and test it right now. Let's see how easy this is. I'm not gonna push very hard at all on this. Just slide it on it, boom. That's it, it's locked in. And we'll just twist these captive screws. We are good to go. Last up is our graphics card. We'll go ahead and toss this in along with the Wi-Fi card, wire it up, and we'll be ready to power the system on. In they go, Wi-Fi card first. I'll insert this into the lower full-length slot. Not sure where it was connected before, I wasn't paying attention to that, but I want a little bit of space here for this graphics card to breathe. GTX 960 up top, and then we'll connect power. Easy peasy, almost. I need a little more slack. And that there will do it. We'll just tighten things down at the rear. And just like that, have a look at how beautiful this system is. Without the lights on, we haven't powered it on yet. It is so clean looking. A lot of that is thanks to the 500FX here and just an excellent use of space. We don't have SSDs, but if some are added in the future, you can mount those to the front, show those off. Cable management across the board is just looking really nice. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I'm just saying it's easy to manage. In this case, there's plenty of space again. But the last thing I want to do is, of course, power it on. We're going to make sure that the system's still post before we give this back to the owner and surprise them with a totally revamped system. Here we go. Power at the rear. Power button up front. Oh, I love the way the light is diffused in these Lightwings fans. It just looks so good. Power cycling, that's pretty normal once we disconnect everything and reassemble. Give it a second to train memory and the sort. Oh, these just look so good. I love these fans. They're awesome. Let's see if we can change color while we're waiting. Okay, I think the reason why this insists on power cycling is because I connected the Wi-Fi card to the lower full-length slot. It just must not like that. So let's move it up to the slot above the graphics card, which should be tied directly to the CPU if I'm not mistaken. It'll give us, I believe, 8 lanes on the 960. It's been a while since I've used Z97, but 8 lanes is still plenty for this kind of card. Let's remove the top slot cover and we'll slide this on in. It's just, you know, growing pains with PCs, that's all. Nothing out of the ordinary. I'm not gonna freak out just yet. I think that swapping this around will fix it though. So that's slotted all the way in. I'm not even gonna screw it down. I'm just gonna try powering it on as is to make sure that's not our issue. Okay, now it's powering up even faster. Okay, that's weird. So it works now. It looks like all we need to do is reseat our DDR3. I don't know, PCs are weird sometimes. So I was kind of confused because I tested this before we started disassembling things. Always want to cover your bases, and it posted no problem. So I was a bit worried there for a second. All right, and that that about does it. Took a minute there to get things sorted. Guess you had a little mini fixer flop episode in this one. But I can see it's trying to get into Windows now. I'll show you that it does in fact boot into Windows, which is great. And I've got the LEDs in the rig sync to white, and you know, this being a white motherboard here, this crate board from MSI, I think that the color scheme works really well all across the board. Really clean looking build, and that's thanks in large part to these Be Quiet components. Only things left to do then, we'll enable XMP in the BIOS, and then we'll tweak the fan curves a bit. I'll let the viewer know what I did just so that he's aware that, you know, if he wants lower temperatures, he'll have to boost the curves. But I tend to keep things really quiet at idle up to maybe 50 or 55 degrees Celsius, and then when temperatures rise above that, that's when the RPM starts ramping up. The system gets, it comes a bit louder. But these being Lightwings fans, I'm not too worried about that. I'm pretty sure they're running at max speed right now just by default, and this system's really not all that loud. And we have the left side panel off. The very last thing to do then is peel the peel from the left side panel. Let me stick this on here, but I'm not gonna do that just yet. This is an experience for the owner, and I am not the owner. So I will leave it on for them to enjoy at a later date. We will put it on, of course, when we pack it up in the car and drop it off for them. But yeah, this is it. So much better looking than the way it came in. Not only is it clean again, but it's also been totally revamped. Aesthetically, it looks so much better, and from an airflow perspective, this thing should be breathing so much easier. I want to thank Be Quiet again for being the product sponsor of this one. They really didn't even know I was making this video. Usually we just kind of toss a product in where it's organic enough, and say a Fixer Flopper PCDC episode. They've been really great working with us there and being flexible in that regard as well. They trust us with the types of videos that we make around these products, but they probably didn't see this one coming. But I felt like since they had sent these new products out kind of all at once, it would do them justice to be all paired together in a video like this, where someone's just kind of in need of some modernish hardware. So here you go, 500 FX. You can find this link below, along with the PureRock 2FX and the PureLoop 2, where is that? I put it somewhere since we're not using it anymore. But all of those that you just saw in this video will be linked in the video description. Be sure to check those out. Also, our pre-roll sponsor, be sure to show them some support as well. That helps us out big time on the back end, and it encourages continued support from those outlets. So that would be greatly appreciated. If you enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. Just general feedback, what you think about the build. Does it look better? I think that's a pretty objective point to make, but I am somewhat biased because we're responsible for it. So yeah, let me know your honest feedback down there. That would be appreciated as well. Thank you so much for watching. Wait a minute. I forgot. I promised you a reaction at the end. So if you stuck around this long in the video, which about half of you do typically, according to our analytics, then a special little treat. Like I said earlier, I'm hoping to have some sort of reaction film for you. So let's roll the tape. We'll end the video there. All right, so here he is. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Daniel. I don't know what
What's up, Daniel?
up?
Make you feel awkward. All right, so system is right here, and I think you're gonna like it.
Oh my, what the?
So actually, not much has changed, like parts-wise. The big things were the case and the cooler. So Be Quiet sent both of those over, and I figured why not? And I think it like totally transformed your rig.
For sure. Oh my god.
Makes it look a lot more modern. You got
awesome.
Much better airflow in that thing. You can go ahead and pick it up if you want and take a look at it. I left the plastic on there for you so that you could do the holy peel, because that's the best part, right? Peeling the plastic off.
Dude,
but
it looks amazing.
But yeah, everything's all been cleaned up for you, so should all look pretty new.
Did you see that GPU beforehand?
So
That
it was pretty bad. The top of that had some pretty caked on dust, but yeah, no, it's all pretty much restored, and yeah, that case really helps bring it back to life. So it should have great airflow now, and yeah, just totally revamped. So
I love it. Thank you, man.
cool. Yeah, no problem. All right, thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you.